Welcome back to another video. Today I am filming from a new phone. I upgraded to the Galaxy Fold 8. I've already had a couple friends ask me why I got the 8 and not the Ultra. And my main answer is because, honestly, well, I'm going to go off on it a little bit here, but for the longest time, up until a few years ago, I didn't have a computer. So I had a bigger phone, like the biggest and best phone I could buy, because I didn't have a computer. So I did everything on my phone. And because I did everything on my phone, I wanted to have the biggest screen I could get. So I was always buying like the Ultras and what have you. And I don't know, I just kept in that mindset of having the biggest screen. So when I switched over to Android, you know, of course I got the Ultra. So I've just always had that mindset that I just never really broke. And it's convenient too, you know, you have more real estate on your screen for some things. But I've always had that mindset going into phones when I need to upgrade or if I broke one or something. So for the most part, I haven't owned like a small screen phone. Probably the last small phone screen I ever owned was the iPhone 7. I haven't had a small phone since then. My computer broke around that time too, so when I went to my upgrade cycle, instead of getting a computer, I just decided I was just going to get a big phone. Well, I didn't really need to upgrade my phone, but there were some deals and stuff, you know, that's how they get you with the deals. But honestly, I've been eyeing a folding phone for a while, just because, like, the screens are slightly smaller. And before I got into the Fold, I've tried two different flip phones. I had the Motorola Razr, I think it was the 2025 edition, and I liked that phone, but it wasn't Samsung, so this is going to sound like brand loyalty, and I promise it's not necessarily just the brand loyalty, but there was stuff I was missing on the Motorola that just was hard to get used to. And now that I know that there's a way to do it, in hindsight, the Razr probably would have been a perfect phone for me as far as like size and stuff goes. And I'll explain why in a bit. But I ended up actually returning that phone because of the set issues and continued on with my normal phone. If you remember my video, if you watched it, I did try the Nothing Phone 4A, and it was all right. It was a good phone. I currently using it as my backup in case anything ever happens to my main phone. It's a great backup device, but I just can't see myself using it daily, and that's because it lacks a lot of features that I need from Samsung. Again, hindsight, there are things that I can workarounds that I can use. There's this app called Gadget Bridge. It's an open source app. Basically what it does is it lets you use like any Bluetooth device with any phone and still get its data and stuff. So like if you have a Galaxy Watch, you can still use it. It's kind of neat. But I didn't know that either at the time. So I still was using my S25 Ultra for the longest time. I just, even now, I mean, I've only had this phone a day, so I can't really say one way or the other yet. But my S25 Ultra is probably the best phone I've ever used as far as like everything, like an all-around phone. The S25 Ultra is pretty solid. It's hard to beat, at least for me, for my use cases and such. It's hard to beat. Anyway, a couple months ago, Verizon was having a promotion on the Fold, or not the Fold, the Flip, the Z Flip 7, when it was still just the 7 lineup. And I figured, you know what? I've been eyeing one of these devices for a minute. Let me go ahead and give it a shot. Let's just say I did have to pay a restocking fee. So the Flip is all great, but there's just certain things I didn't like. For instance, the battery life on it was atrocious. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just a fault of the Flip, but the battery life was bad. I was having to charge it at least twice a day. And I know it's got a smaller battery because it's a smaller form factor, so like I can only knock it so much, right? But still, like, if I'm paying that much money for a phone, I want better battery life than that. So that was one issue. The second issue for me is I like to take a lot of photos, and I spent a solid like couple hours taking photos with it. But the thing is, with my Galaxy S25 Ultra, if I'm walking around taking photos and I don't necessarily want to put my phone in my pocket, I kind of just carry it because I'm not worried about dropping it because I have a good case on it. And if I drop it, oh well, you know. I've dropped it quite a few times and it's still working just fine. Like, if you have a good case and a good screen protector, you shouldn't really have to worry about that. So if I was taking photos and I was walking around when I wasn't taking photos, I would just kind of carry it in my hand on my side. Now, I could put it in my pocket too, yes, but the reason I'm getting into this is with the Flip, yes, I could have put it in my pocket too, but carrying it around like I do when I'm taking pictures, I was always super nervous. I'd always fold it back. And if I folded it back, it would close out the camera app. So every time I wanted to open it back up to use the camera, I'd have to open the camera app back up, which first world problem, sure, but it was frustrating. Now, there are ways I could have worked around that, but it would have been so much extra work for what? Like, for instance, I do have a Galaxy Watch, so I could have set it up to where instead of unfolding it to look at the image and see what I'm taking pictures of, I could have just used my watch. You can see everything on the watch. So I could have done it that way. That is a workaround that I could have used, but that's so much extra work. And you know, looking at your watch to see the photo or video you're trying to get does get frustrating. Now, what I will say is I found some tweaks to work with the Flip that made me really like using that front screen. Not the inside screen, but like the front screen. I kind of want a phone that's that form factor, you know, that small. I kind of actually really liked the size of that. So when I found these tweaks and stuff so I could use that main screen most of the time, like, it was nice, because one of the reasons I thought that the Flip would work well for me is it would keep me off my phone as much, you know? I was just thinking mentally, since it is a little bit more cumbersome to use than a regular phone, I'd be opening it up less. I would be using it less. So just using stuff on that main screen was nice. I could text on it, I could call on it. There's a lot I could do on that main screen without ever opening the phone. But then I got to thinking, like, that's great and all, but like, if it extends out to the size of my regular phone, what's the point? Like, this is a very niche product as it is, but for my use cases, I'd be better off with just my S25 Ultra. And I kept testing back whether or not I wanted to get the Z Fold 7, because I've never had a fold device, and I'm glad I waited. Again, this is still the first day with this one. I got the Z Fold 8. It's still the first day with this phone, so I'm bound to find stuff I don't like about it. But immediately, what's already made me like this phone so far is the main screen, the one that's just the exterior screen, not the folded out. is like the perfect size for me. I kind of like this size. I do kind of wish it was a little bit smaller. I'd say maybe like an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. If it was a little smaller, tall wise, about 3/4 to an inch, I would be beyond ecstatic. But I do like it right now. One thing that I'm noticing making this video is when I'm making a video with my S25 Ultra, I don't have bars in the side of the video. This phone, it has bars on the side of the video, which isn't a huge issue, not yet. I don't know if that's ever going to cause a problem, but for the time being, it's not a big issue, but it is something I've noticed. But I also haven't had a chance to really use this phone. I just got it today and I've been at work, so I've really only been using it for its main function and using the main screen at that. That being said, I went to buy a case at Best Buy because I wasn't just going to run this phone without a case. Like, there ain't no way I'm going to use this phone without a case. And they only had 2 cases at Best Buy, and this isn't really Best Buy's fault. They're probably just out of stock because the phone just came out not too long ago. But they only had 2 cases, and they were both $80. I'm like, well, I'll buy one on Amazon or order one from Best Buy, but I need something temporary. $80. And I was like, okay, $80 is probably going to be a halfway decent case, right? Like, it should be. Hopefully it's going to be. No, I sent my best friend a video of the case before I put it on the phone. It's just a little sleeve that only goes on the back of the phone where the cameras are. That's it. It's just this really thin carbon fiber sleeve that sits on the back of the phone. They want $80 fucking for that. You know, I'm taking that back when I get the other case I ordered. I just needed something temporary, man. I thought it was going to be better than that, because when I get a temporary case, usually I like to keep it anyway, just because, like, if the other case breaks or something, you know. $80 for that, man. Like, I can't believe that's a rip-off. I know it was made by Samsung, so that's probably the reason why it's $80, but hot damn, dude. $80. All it does is protect the back of the phone. I looked on Amazon. I'm trying to not use Amazon as much, but, like, unless I order from Best Buy, which I probably will. But I looked on there for like 2 seconds. The first result that popped up was a full body case. It protects the front and the back, and it protects the hinge. Like, I know you can't put a screen protector or anything on the internal screen. That I understand. But, like, $80, all it is the back plate. Like, I'd probably be better off just using the phone as is without that. Damn, I could not believe that. So be careful, because I tried to, I didn't want to buy it, but I needed a case temporarily, and I looked at the box and there's no good picture of the actual product. There's like one angle of it, and I couldn't tell if that was just like to show off what the case looks like rather than what it is. You know how sometimes boxes can be deceiving with the product? It'll show like one angle and you'll be like, oh cool, this is what that is, and then you'll open up the box and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's not a very flattering angle, is it, box? So yeah, I'm gonna get one that covers the whole phone, because that's just insane to me. $80 for that. Whew. But yeah, this is the first video on that. I figured that I would make my first video using this phone. I can already tell the quality is not going to be as good. On the S25 Ultra, I don't feel like I'm as saturated. I'd have to watch back the videos on both phones to really tell, but if you've seen my previous videos, I just watching the preview while I'm recording this, I look more saturated. Like, I'm more blushed out. Like, when we did musicals in high schools, they wanted us to wear makeup, and so we wouldn't get like flushed out by the camera. And that's how I feel like I'm doing right now, is I'm being flushed out by the camera, which isn't a big deal. The only thing I ever really use the front-facing camera for anyway is like these videos. Honestly, the fact that the Fold even decided to have a front-facing camera is kind of frustrating, because it's still the cutout, you know, it's still that hole punch camera. I feel like with the Fold format, they would have been better off in just completely getting rid of that front-facing camera. That's something that I've been kind of arguing with people about for a while now, is like, we need to get rid of the front-facing camera. There's other ways you can take selfies, you know. I know they put it in there for a reason, but like, you could save space if you take out that front-facing camera. This phone is a pretty good phone design-wise, aesthetically speaking, but having that hole punch does kind of bother me. All again, because like with my S25 Ultra, I kind of got used to it, right? Like, I have been using it so long that I just kind of got used to having that front-facing camera, even though I rarely use it. Again, I really only use it for when I'm doing these videos, so it is what it is, I guess. But with like this phone, they could have, I don't know, put a bigger battery in there if they got rid of that. Just use the whole screen. Get rid of the front-facing camera. Just do a bigger battery, or hell, put in a headphone jack. I mean, with the bigger phone, like when it folds out, it's in a bigger format. So hell, bring back the headphone jack. We don't need the front-facing camera. I don't think a lot of people that are going to be able to get the Fold, me included, I don't really have the money for it. I pay installments for it. I don't think a lot of the people that are going to be getting the Fold devices really have that kind of money to be just willy-nilly. So the people that are taking selfies are probably just going to get like a regular phone. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't understand the marketing strategies behind these phones. Like, don't get me wrong, for the most part, I actually quite like the Galaxy lineup of phones. Like I said, I've had the S25 Ultra since it came out, and I had the S24 before that. And I've been pretty happy with the S25 Ultra. When I used the Galaxy Flip 7, I liked it for the most part. There was just enough for me to say, nope, this isn't going to be the phone for me. So I like Samsung and their phones for the most part, but I don't know. Is $1,800 too much for a phone, even if it folds? Yes, I fully think it is. I'm probably stupid for upgrading to this phone. Probably gonna regret it. I think I have 14 days to restock it if I decide I don't like it. So hopefully I'll decide within those 14 days if I'm going to keep it or not. I want to keep it because, like I said, I really do like the screen real estate. I mentioned earlier the reason I didn't get like the Fold Ultra or anything is because it's too tall. And I needed to break that mindset of having a bigger screen like that, you know? That's what's kind of nice about the Fold phone. Kind of why I'm glad that I got this Fold is because I want that small tablet, you know. Having the taller Fold and it folding out into this weird format, not for me. So that's why I went with this wide body format, the one that's a little shorter. I'm excited to see how well it does. I'm excited to see how well the battery life is, because that's one thing that's made me a little nervous about ever getting a Fold, since the Flip wasn't that great. I do know that this year's generation of folding phones, I'm not sure about the Flip, but I know the folding phones at least have started adopting the silicone-based batteries. So it's supposed to be a smaller battery, but it's the same like milliamp hours. I think the one I have is 4800, if I remember correctly. So realistically speaking, that should get me all day on a decent charge, but we'll see. You know, there's always a reason why it won't. Lady behind me getting distracted. But another thing that's frustrating, and this is just first world problems, but having to transfer everything to a new phone when you get a new phone is frustrating. The only thing I'm really going to have difficulty with is my Home Assistant, because Home Assistant has a special password you need to log into the app and stuff, and it's not the same password you use for the app itself. So I'm gonna have to find out how to get into that. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this phone does, see how the battery holds up. Gotta transfer all my stuff over. I'm gonna mod it like I have my S25 Ultra, so it's kind of tailored. I forgot how much Android bloats software, man. Like, I was downloading some of my apps, and I opened up my app drawer, and I'm like, oh shit, that's right. Verizon and Android bloat the hell out of these phones. So I'm gonna have some fun cleaning up tonight. Get rid of all that bloatware. And then, you know, I'll be using the folded out screen for like YouTube and such. It's weird, because I told my friend, I'm like, I'm probably going to be using the main screen like 90% of the time. Like, I'm not going to be using the fold out too much. It's probably only going to be a lot of the times when I'm watching like YouTube or something, you know? So I won't be using that fold out too much, which is good in a way, because it means it's gonna prolong the life of that screen, but bad because it's like, why did I just spend all that money, right? I can get a phone that's much smaller if I wanted to, that's not a folding phone. The concept and the reason I would want to fold it out was enough for me to decide to do that. If I could get a phone that was literally just the size of the front screen on the Flip, honestly, that would be pretty goated. But yeah, I'll let y'all know how I feel about this phone when I have used it for a minute.